You're listening to Well Informed Podcast, where conversations will empower you to live your best life. Welcome to Well Informed. Today I'm having a conversation about hypnobirthing with Lynsey. Lynsey is an experienced hypnobirthing teacher. She's a midwife and also a doula.
Yes.
Yeah. Would you like to tell us a wee bit more about yourself then?
So I have been doing midwifery since 2008. I always wanted to be a midwife ever since I was a wee girl. Always knew that's what I wanted to do, and took a bit of a long path to get into it, but finally did it. Everything that I thought the job was going to be was very different to what it was like in person. I thought that I would be able to spend loads of time with women, and it's very restricted. The NHS is really, really tight for time and money, and the job I'd signed up for wasn't always what it got to be like in reality. So I trained at Paisley Hospital, so not too far from here. I've worked in Wishaw, but I predominantly work in sexual health, and that's what I've done for the last nearly 14 years. Wow. So that's a very different part of my job. And then I discovered hypnobirthing when I was at Paisley working, and that changed the whole course of my career, and I've been doing this now for nearly 14 years. So
that's amazing.
Yeah, it's wild.
It's amazing you knew what you wanted to do since you were a little girl.
Yeah,
that is so cool.
Wrote it in my news jotters and everything. I don't even think I knew what a midwife was, but I say I wanted to be a midwife. So
that's amazing. Yeah. I think that you're obviously born for the role.
Yeah, I think so. It's a passion, I would say, rather than just, oh, that'll be a good job to do. It's always something I've been interested in.
And I feel like hypnobirthing, I keep seeing this everywhere just now, so I think it's starting to boom, like more so than before?
Yeah, I think the word itself is quite a weird word, and I think there's a lot of people that are really sceptical and go, what on earth is that? But it's definitely become more popular because of the benefits of it. This has been around since the 1930s. It's not new at all. So hypnobirthing first started based on a book by a doctor called Grantley Dick Reid, who wrote a book called Childbirth Without Fear. And what he noticed is when women had tools to keep them calm and relaxed, they were having much better birthing outcomes, tools that made them feel more in control, less need for pain relief, but also babies that fed and slept better. So like there's not a downside to it. Yeah. But I think there's a lot of misconception that hypnobirthing is just about like a pain-free, drug-free birth, and that's not what it's for. This is for any birth at all. So I think once people realise that, they're like, oh, well, maybe that would help me. So I have clients that have like planned C-sections and inductions and water births and home births, like very varied birth outcomes. But this is something that anybody can do. But I think a lot of people are like, what? Hypnobirthing? What does that mean? So a lot of people think I'm hypnotising people, and that's definitely not what it is.
That's kind of what the name gives across, doesn't it? I was talking to my partner about like yourself coming today, and he's like, so what does that mean? Do you get put in a trance? And I was like, well, you'll find out when you listen.
Exactly, when you listen to the episode. It is something that I think is quite misleading because it's got the word hypno in it. I would say it's probably closer to like therapeutic hypnosis, where people go to get tools to help them work with their mindset and take control of situations. That's what it is. It helps you feel more in control than any other time in your life. It gives you tools to be more aware, but also zone out from what's not important. Like in labour rooms, sometimes the midwife could be talking about a night out or what she's having for her tea break. Like that's not relevant to you when you're in labour. So it allows you to like zone out from that if you want and just focus on your body and your baby and keeping calm, which is really nice. But a lot of people think I'm like Darren Brown or Paul McKenna and I'm going to put them into a trance, or they think I'm like crazy hippy dippy and we're going to like sing Kumbaya and you're going to breathe your baby into the world.
Movies make it kind of like that, don't they?
I'm the least zen person you could ever meet, so it's definitely not like that. The best way I describe it to people, it's like a toolkit for your brain. Your brain is so powerful and it'll shut you down every single time. I truly believe birth is 90% mental and 10% physical. Like when you're pregnant, your body knows what to do. It's growing a baby without you even having to think about it. Yeah. And it's designed to do the birth thing. But if your brain thinks it's dangerous or scary, it's not going to get on board, and that can be enough to shut you down. Mm-hmm. So hypnobirthing gives you tools to basically stop that taking over and keep your brain distracted so that your body can just do what it's designed to do. So that's it in a nutshell. That's kind of what it is.
I'm totally with you with that. Like that is what the female body, it just naturally knows what to do, but we can get in our own way. Like, it happens with anything in life, doesn't it? I guess like your body listens to what your mind is saying. So if you're putting yourself into a state of fear, your body's going to trigger all the responses and it's not going to be able to do what it's meant to do.
It shuts down. It's exactly what it's designed to do. Like it's called the fight or flight response. Like, as humans, we're really lucky we have that response, but it's a survival technique. When you're in labour, that's not a dangerous thing that your body's doing. It's safe, and your body's signalling to you that your baby's ready to come out, which is why you feel the sensations that you do. But if you go into it thinking this is wrong, this is scary, this is something that my body's doing that it shouldn't be doing, your body's just going to shut down because it's trying to protect you, and it affects how your muscles work, and it stops the oxygen and blood getting to where it should go. Because if you're in a state of fight or flight, all the blood and oxygen gets diverted elsewhere to get you to a place of safety. But there's not going to be bears or lions chasing you in your labour room. Like, you're not actually under attack, but your brain doesn't know the difference. So it could be something as simple as you've got the loveliest midwife and she said, "That's ending my shift now." And you think, "Oh no, don't leave me." That makes you feel scared and frightened. So if you feel scared in that environment, your adrenaline's going to go through the roof and your body's just going to shut down, and it's not going to let your labour happen. But a lot of people will be in labour and they'll maybe get to like 7 centimetres or 8 centimetres and their labour stops. And a lot of people think that's because their body's just not working. The main reason that happens is because fear has taken over and their body's shut down.
And it slows the whole process
slows
down.
Everything down. Your body shuts down to protect you and to protect your baby.
Wow.
So hypnobirthing helps stop that overwhelm and that adrenaline from releasing, and it teaches you tools to stop adrenaline taking over in your labour. I
think even just knowing that one wee thing is enough to like switch you during your labour, to be like, right, I'm slowing everything down here. Let's just try and bring it back to...
Some people forget that you and your baby are connected in labour as well. There's an umbilical cord going between you and your baby. So if you're getting really panicky and anxious and you're not breathing properly, then your baby's not getting what they need either. So as much as all the hypnobirthing tools and techniques that I teach involve, yes, a bit of relaxation and tools to keep you calm, the main reason we do it is because if we keep you calm, you're directly going to keep your baby calm as well, and that can reduce the risk of intervention too. We don't want stressed out babies.
No.
That stresses out the midwives as well, so we don't want that to happen.
This is incredible. And like, it makes so much sense. So essentially, hypnobirthing is tools to try and help you with your mindset during birth, to then in turn relax your nervous system, so that when you're going through your birth, that fight or flight isn't activated.
Yeah, exactly.
And then it makes everything a wee bit more seamless.
Yeah.
And you feel in control.
Exactly. I think there's so much about birth that can feel overwhelming and out of control. So what hypnobirthing does is brings it back to the things that you can control. One's your mindset and the other one's your breathing. Your birthing partner takes care of everything else. We train them how to do that too. But you don't need to be worrying about how to get to the hospital and what's in your bag and who's feeding you a snack. Like, your job when you're in labour is to labour. Like, that's it. So it's important to have tools to stop that scariness taking over and the panic setting in, because it'll just slow everything down and make it harder.
Yeah, that sounds so valuable. See, to have like someone like you there to guide you through that process, because personally, when it was myself with my first son, that was in COVID, so we never had classes or anything like that. Even saying that, with my younger son, I still never was offered any classes or anything like that. And I think I've been through 2 pregnancies fairly recently, and I had no idea about this. And I just know that it would have been a different experience for me.
I think a lot of people find it after they've had a baby and think, "Oh, I wish I'd known about that then." And that's exactly why I do what I do. Like, the NHS are really restricted in what they can offer. I understand the system's under a lot of pressure. I mean, midwives' working hours are crazy. The funding that they have is really, really restricted. They don't have a lot of budgets. They're very, very short-staffed. But people need this information. And I actually had a client recently, and he said to me, "I just keep wondering, like, when are people going to tell us this information?" He said, "But if we hadn't booked you, we would never have known any of this." Because I keep thinking they're going to give us a leaflet at some point, but the leaflet didn't come. And I was like, well, when you go to a routine midwife appointment, they do your blood pressure, they check your pee, they book your next appointment and check if anything's wrong and then send you on your way. But they don't really have time to go into everything to do with your birth plan, what your options are, your choices are. I do. I have that luxury. But I think a lot of people just think hypnobirthing is just quite airy-fairy and a bit fluffy, and that's, you're just going to go and breathe your baby out. The best way I can describe what it is, it's like a full antenatal education course, but instead of just giving you information, it teaches you coping strategies. It teaches you tools to keep calm and relax. It teaches you ways that your birthing partner can support you emotionally and physically, because it's a lot for them to go through as well. And I think otherwise they're like a deer in headlights. They don't have a clue what they're doing unless somebody's talking them through that and normalising the situation. It makes it less scary for them too. But the biggest thing it helps you do is navigate the maternity system and understand that you have choices and you have options, and you don't just need to do as you're told. Like, your voice is actually the loudest in that labour room, and nobody can do anything to you without you saying that that's okay. But that's not about being dangerous or putting your baby under any kind of danger, or for you, it's about understanding what your choices are, and then you decide what's the right thing for you and your baby.
See, I just think that's so empowering. Like, again, like when you're, like personally, when I was in all that, like in that environment and all that was going on, I wouldn't have said boo to a ghost. I think, like, you're scared to ask for stuff. You just trust that these people are professionals, and they are. And like you said, they're going from room to room, so they're not just dealing with you.
Yeah.
But I don't think I would have spoke up and stuff like that. Yeah. I don't think I would have had that assertiveness or the confidence to say, I feel like I need this. I probably wouldn't even have known what I was needing. Yeah. And so would you be there in that birthing
if room? I'm hired as a doula, I would be at the birth, but my course empowers the couple to be able to question things, and the birthing partner's like an advocate for the women, so they would have the power to question things and make sure everything's fully explained. And it's the difference I see in my clients is unbelievable. Like, session 1, I see them anxious, nervous. See, by session 4, they're like, let's do this. But I think so much of like traditional antenatal classes focus on what can go wrong. So like, this is the drugs you take, and this is what happens if this happens, and this is when you come to the hospital. But I think we've forgotten that birth can go right, and I think we've forgotten how to trust the process. And it's almost like, if you have a good birth, like, you're lucky. And I'm like, no, you're not lucky. Like, birth's meant to happen, and we are so lucky we have skilled doctors if we need them. But birth's not meant to go that way unless there's an emergency situation. But I think so many people think, oh, I'll probably end up with a C-section anyway. Like, they go into it with that mindset because all they hear is stories from other people all the time.
Do you know, I actually opted for a C-section in my second birth because in my first birth I was induced, and it took quite a long time, and it put me off going through that again. Also because I had my young son at home and I never wanted to be away for that long. But that both of those births could have been totally different. And
I think a lot of it comes from a place of fear where people make their decisions rather than informed choice. Like, a lot of people, say for example induction, like you're talking about, a lot of people are told, right, you'll come in that day, we'll get you induced because that's what we need to do. And most people go, okay, and they don't even question why they're doing it, what the process is, the fact that it can take days, the fact that the hormone that they give you isn't the same as natural oxytocin that they give you, that you have in normal labour. So it feels really intense, really overwhelming. It can be a long process, so you're exhausted. Your body's trying to do all this work. Most people haven't eaten in that time either, so their muscles are tired and weak, and often it leads to intervention. And a lot of people aren't told that. So it's almost like we just go in and we're like, oh, this will be fine. And then you come out of it going, oh my God, what just happened to me? So there's a lot that can feel kind of out of control in these situations, but that's what empowers people to know that they do have choice and they do have options when it comes to their birth.
So if they were to take, if the expectant parents were to take on hypnobirthing, it's a course then? Right.
So like antenatal classes at the moment, like it's basic. Like some people get like a couple of 2-hour sessions. Depends on the health board. I'd say it's very much postcode lottery what you get. During COVID, everything stopped. So I had to shift all my classes onto Zoom. So that was fun because I got to teach people in Brussels and Japan, and I've taught people in Saudi Arabia, which was cool. But it's like bare minimum time. My course is over 10 hours. It's 4 2.5-hour sessions, and I think a lot of people are like, what on earth are we going to cover? And afterwards they're like, whoa, I didn't know any of that stuff. And it's not nonsense. It's really vital information, and even things like what to expect for the checks that will happen for you and baby after birth, what you can say no to and what you can consent to, and even things like how you get your placenta out. And a lot of people aren't told any of this stuff. I was at a birth once and the baby came out and the woman said to me, oh, thank goodness that's that done. And I said, we need to get your placenta out now. And she said, what's a placenta? And I thought, that's scary. Imagine not even knowing what your body's just done. Like, your body's made a temporary organ as well as a human. It's pretty cool.
It's amazing.
And she had no idea that had even happened inside her body. So a big part of it is just education, and knowledge is so powerful. Like that's what takes the fear away. It's when you get the information that you need. You're like, oh, that's okay, that's not scary, that's not frightening, it's normal, and it's so cool. It is so cool what your body does.
You can tell how much you love this.
I know, I'm so passionate about it.
Yeah.
I just love seeing the shift in people. I do a wee trick with them. In session 1, I get people to write down 5 words about how they feel about birth. So if you thought about the word birth, what pops into your head? Then we repeat it again in session 4, and it's never ever the same. Most people, like, get the guys to do it as well. So most guys will say like blood, hospital, screaming, messy, things like that.
Yeah.
For most women, it's more emotional responses. So like scary, pain, endurance, hard, long, kind of things like that. After the 4 sessions, like, the difference is unbelievable. The birth partners are always about their role. So they'll say things like support and empowered and relaxed environment. And I'm like, okay,
wow.
I've got this. And for the women, it's like excited, ready, can do this. And I'm like, yes, you can. And they just believe what they can do. It's amazing.
That is amazing. And just you were saying excited there, like, I was thinking that myself. I was thinking, like, I imagine, like, going through your course and things like that, you would then switch to feeling like, right, I'm excited, I'm up for this, let's get this baby here. Like,
it makes it something to look forward to rather than dreading. And I think so many people spend so much of their pregnancy dreading the birth pit. I think from the moment you get that positive pregnancy test, you're just like trying to get your head around it, there's a baby coming, and we spend so much time organising the pram and decorating the nursery and buying all the practical things. But actually, see, in 20 years' time, you will not remember the pram that you've bought. You will remember every detail about your birth. That's the part that's worth investing in, because you remember every part of it. So birth trauma is real. Like, people go in and they come out and they're like, oh my God, what has just happened to me?
Yeah.
Nobody should feel like that. Nobody. Like, my programme is very kind of niche because it's not about, it's like one way to birth a baby, and if you don't do that, you failed at birth. Like, I cover all eventualities. So we talk about C-sections, we talk about instrumental births, we talk about induction, we talk about everything, so that if your plan went from plan A to plan Z, you can still navigate that, and you don't think, what has just happened to me? You go, oh, I chose that to happen. I had 2 very different births myself, so I think that was a big part when I was writing my programme, that I wanted to tailor it to not make anybody feel like they failed, because you can't fail at birth. Either way, you have grown a baby and birthed a baby, no matter what way it happens. Like, that is a really amazing thing that somebody's done. And I think some people almost feel a bit like disappointed if it's ended up in a C-section, or feel that their body's failed them. And I'm like, no, like, you can't feel at this. But what you can do is feel that something's happened to you, and that feels really scary and frightening. This should be you deciding what's the right thing. Even in an emergency, you still have time to decide, I want that and I don't want that. Like, every single time. I had a C-section with my son after a 3-day induction, so I've been there, understand the induction process, and then I had a full birth with no pain relief for my daughter. Like, 2 complete opposite birth experiences. Both times I couldn't have done it without hypnobirthing, and I know for a fact my husband couldn't, because he would have been a nightmare in the labour room. He's a fidget. Like, he'd be like, oh, what does that do, and what does that machine do? I'm like, no, he needs a job to do. And honestly, it was amazing. But he wouldn't have known. And I think he kept saying to me, but you'll know what to do because you're a midwife. And I said to him, but when I'm in labour, I'm not a midwife. I was like, I am a woman giving birth. You need to be my person that speaks up for me and supports me. And he's like, oh, okay. And then once I took him through the course, he's like, I've got this. And I'm like, you do. It's not hard. You just need to support and speak up. But unless somebody's showing you how to do that, people don't know. And it's scary.
And
really is.
Like you'd said earlier, they might go in and just feel like they can't do that because they're in a room full of professionals. But that's amazing. So you're empowering the partner to be an advocate for the expectant mother.
Absolutely.
And it is like, it's part of your life. Like, it's a really special experience, and it should be something that you look back on, and it isn't from a point of like victimhood, like, oh, that happened to me. It should be something that you're looking forward to, because it's not like brushing your teeth. You don't do it every day, and it's going to be something that you remember. So you want to remember that you felt in control, and that I did that. I done that kind of thing, rather than, oh, I went through that.
Survived it and endured it to get my baby. Like, it should never feel like that. Like, I had a client who had an unplanned caesarean section, and she'd sent me a wee voice note after her baby was out. She's, Lyndsey, that's him here now. And I was like, oh, that's great. And she's, it was magical.
Oh,
and I was like, everybody should feel like that. Like, regardless of how their baby comes out their body, like, you've done the most incredible thing. And I think we shouldn't spend our whole pregnancy dreading it. Like, what your body's doing's incredible, and you should be appreciating what your body's doing. Like, it's doing incredible things. And I think when a baby comes out, you still can't get your head around that oh my goodness, I made that. Like, I think, as I said to you earlier, my son's nearly 12 and he's finishing P7 today. I look at him and he's nearly the same height as me now, and I just think, I can't believe that I made him, and my daughter as well. Like, it's so cool. Like, it is such a superpower that we have as women. We're like, oh yeah, grew a baby, birthed a baby, fed a baby. Like, we just don't even take time to go, that is amazing. Yeah, it really is.
I think, like, see, the apps, they're quite good as well. If you're following them along week by week,
it's lovely. That
kind of helped me to check in and go, look what I've done this week. Like, whoa, and I did appreciate all that. Like,
I think the fact you've got two boys, special. Like, what I always say to my clients is, like, I've got this image that I show them of the baby in the uterus and like when it's growing in the stages of labour, and I always say, before we look at the muscles, let's just take a wee bit of time to appreciate what your body's doing. So I'm like, while you've been busy working, tidying your house, doing all the things that you do, catching up with your friends, you've been making organs, you've been making a heart, you've been making eyelashes, fingernails. For you, you made penis and balls when you're out having coffee with your pal. Like, we don't say that. We don't come in and go, oh, today I made balls. Like, you don't even appreciate like how amazing your body's doing that. But the bit we doubt all the time is the end part. If your body's doing all of that without even having to think about, why would it fail you at the final part? That's the bit it knows how to do. That's the part your muscles are designed to push your baby out. Like, we just don't trust it, and that's what we need to do. And hypnobirthing really helps you relearn birth. Like, I always think about animals and the way they give birth. They don't start pacing up and down at 39 weeks going, oh no, what if I need to have a C-section? Oh no, what if I need to be induced? They go somewhere dark, quiet, uninterrupted, and they have their babies. We're designed to do that too. But our brains are far too clever. And I'd say now it's worse than it's ever been, because we have got information at the tip of our fingers. TikTok, Instagram, social media, podcasts, YouTube, like, people get information from everywhere, and they spiral at 2 o'clock in the morning when they start Googling something. And most of that is from other people's experiences, but it just feeds into that doubt, that anxiety of, what if I can't do this? Instead of, oh, I'm built to do this. And they forget that they're built to do this. It's crazy.
That is so true, because it's just like an overconsumption, and it's probably people are trying to do their self-justice by maybe doing a wee bit of research on that, but they're falling into that trap of, oh, what if this happens, or that happens, or this is going to be sore, or this, that.
And I think so much of the stories people tell are not positive. Like, if you go out for a dinner and it's horrible, like, you'll tell loads of people about it. Oh, don't go to that restaurant, that was disgusting. Oh, I get food poisoning. If you go out somewhere really nice for dinner, you might tell 1 or 2 people. And it's the same with birth stories. I think people see a positive birth story as boring, or, oh well, good for them, that went well. Where, like, oh, she was in hospital for 3 days and she had tears from here to here, and you're like, oh really? And you get really absorbed into the negativity of it. But as a pregnant woman, all that's doing is getting in there for later. And then you get into bed and suddenly you're thinking a story you heard 10 years ago that's now making you panic that that's going to happen to you. There's so many positive birth stories out there, but people just don't know where to seek them and where to find them, and it's such a shame. It's such a shame, because I'm like, go and talk to people that have had good experiences. It takes that fear away instantly. It does.
That is such good advice, to just do your research. If you're going to do your research, search for the positives and the good stories, and the things that can go right, not the things that can go wrong, and like program your brain to think from that perspective.
I think a lot of people, I can't speak for all hypnobirthing courses because I know they're not all designed the same. My one problem I have with hypnobirthing just now is it's not regulated. So when I first started teaching it, you could only teach hypnobirthing if you're a midwife or a hypnotherapist. So I've trained in hypnotherapy as well, so that I could write my own course and write my own scripts and things. But like, anybody can go and do a hypnobirthing course, and this really frustrates me, because not all the advice and things will be the same, and actually some people aren't allowed to give certain advice because it's not medical advice if they're not trained. This is why I keep my registration up on purpose, because I want to keep my registration up so I can support people properly. But I just think not every course is the same. Some focus on with hypnobirthing, unless you have a pain-free, drug-free birth, you've not done hypnobirthing. And like, birth is so unpredictable, you just don't know how it's going to go. But that doesn't mean it needs to feel scary or frightening or horrible. It can be a really empowering, positive experience. That's what everybody deserves. I think people think, oh, I was really lucky, but you're deserving of a good birth. Like, it shouldn't be something you have to just get through and grit your teeth, you know. It can be the most amazing thing you ever do. Think about the research people put into like their holidays. They're buying a house, weddings. For birth, we just rock up to our local hospital and hope for the best. And I'm like, no, this is the biggest life event you'll ever do.
Like, I've got my nice big bag packed for all this stuff, most of it I don't need, but I don't know what I'm doing here.
Got my snacks and got all my Instagram recommended things from influencers, but I've not got a clue about what a contraction is or how it works in labour or what my choices of pain relief are or anything. So all of that is what matters, because that's the bit that you will think about in labour. But in labour's too late to be doing your research, and that's why prepping beforehand is the key.
Yeah, so when would be the best time then for an expectant mother to reach out?
So I recommend doing the course anything after 20 weeks. After you've had your second scan, you're starting to feel movement. It just makes it a bit easier to get your head around that there's actually a baby coming, and it helps put all the kind of tools into place a wee bit easier. I fill up quite quickly, so I recommend people book their sessions after their first scan to make sure they can get in to secure their dates. But anything between kind of 20 weeks and 34 weeks is a really good time to start the course. Some people like doing it closer to birth, so it feels nice and fresh. Some people like to do it earlier, so they can then enjoy lots more of the relaxation time. And we also teach the birthing partners massage techniques, so it means you get a wee bit longer of massage practice. So it's each to their own. Like, some people like to do it early because they're like, I want as much information as I can, but it's up to the individual really and what they feel most comfortable with.
And you offer that online and in groups and in person, don't you?
Yeah, so I recently went back to teaching Zoom again, which I never thought I would do since COVID, but actually there's been a need for it, and I've had couples kind of scattered all over the UK that join that, because again, the classes that you're getting are so bare minimum that people are like, I just don't even feel that I know enough about this. So I have the luxury that I do have the time to take people through that, which is really lovely. So I teach in-person private classes where I go to people's houses, so that's like one-to-one sessions. I teach group courses at Window to the Womb Scan Clinic in Hamilton, and they run every second month, and then also do Zoom classes as well. And then I've also got an online version of my course as well, which can be accessed anywhere in the world, and it's as cheap as chips. It's actually on sale until the 30th. £39 is all I charge for my online course, because I just want to make this as accessible as it possibly can be for people. I hate when people say I'm so scared about birth. I'm like, you don't need to feel like that. The on-demand course, the online one, is only 24 videos that people can work through at their own pace. So like every night after work, you'd watch a couple of videos and complete it, and the difference it makes people feel is unbelievable. And it's just information, that's all it is.
I bet it's very, very valuable information.
Really valuable.
And you're saying about how it's cheap as chips and things like that. But even at that, I think people, when they're pregnant, like, we're in this big consumerism world just now, and we're influenced wherever we turn our heads, and pregnant people are targeted to buy a load of nonsense. So they spend a fortune. Some people spend an absolute fortune just on the hospital bag, never mind its contents. Like, and some of the stuff you take to hospital with you don't even take out the bag. And especially the snacks. Like, I never even ate a snack. But you could really just be investing that into the whole preparation for the experience, and you would totally reap that reward.
I've never ever had a client that said to me, I regret doing that course. Like, the amount of people say that was the best money I spent in pregnancy, like the value of that, even if their birth isn't a pain-free, drug-free water birth, like the amount of people. Last night I was teaching a barber down in Largs, and it's 4 different clients had said to him about it. So see the fact guys are talking about this is how I know it makes a difference. Like, I laugh about my husband when he goes out with his friends. He doesn't see his best friends often because they live quite far away, but whenever they catch up, I'm like, oh, how's he doing? And all I get is, oh, we're talking about football. Like, I'm like, what do guys talk about? And I thought the fact that guys are going to get their hair done, and they're like, oh, if your missus is pregnant, I recommend hypnobirthing. And they're like, all talking about it. And I was like, well, this shows the difference it makes for them as well. And I thought it is worth investing in, because birthing partners feel really overwhelmed in that environment. There's machines, there's staff, it's a hospital, it feels very clinical. If they don't know how to support you, they don't know what to do, and they just almost like retract back and just kind of stay out the way. But actually, they know you better than the midwife does. They are the best support to you, and they should be the ones supporting you through this amazing journey. Plus, it's their baby too. Like, they've got a vital role in it, because they should be part of it. And it's so nice when they actually learn the tools and techniques to help.
And then, like, even at that, I guess if you're going through the motions and stuff, and you're maybe kind of get a wee bit lost in the physicality, then they'd be able to also not just advocate you, but be like, oh, remember this wee technique and that, and let's go back to this breath or whatever.
Yeah.
And
there's so much that you can work through, because I think people think like it's no pain relief. Like I covered all the pain relief options, but I also explain like how they impact you, how they impact baby, so that if you decide to take something, you understand it, and it's not just because it's been suggested to you in that moment. Like I truly believe gas and air, you would think the midwives are on commission for it. It's like, do you want some gas? Do you want some gas? And you think, what's so good about this gas? I better try it. But if you don't feel you're ready for that, and it keeps being suggested, before you know it, you're using gas and air. So after a wee while, you might be like, oh, I think I need something stronger. But actually, if you had waited till you felt you need it, that might be all you needed. So it's about understanding what your options are. So we don't just teach breathing techniques, we teach like distraction techniques, we teach tools to understand the stages of labour. There's loads of comfort aids, there's relaxation tools, I say massage as well. There's loads of things, but also stuff about the environment. Like in hospital environments feel very clinical, bright, beeping machines, it smells like a hospital. Nothing about that's relaxing. I tell people that they can dim the lights, they can put fairy lights up, they can put smells in the air, like you can have diffusers, you can have your own music playing. So trying to make it as spa-like as possible will make you produce oxytocin, which is the hormone that makes your contractions happen. So when your contractions happen, it's because that oxytocin has been released. Oxytocin's really shy and it only likes to come out in the dark, which is why so many women go into labour during the night, because that level's much higher. But if you have been at home and it's cosy and dark and you're really relaxed, your hormones are going to be really flourishing. But most people then go into the hospital and everything slows down. It's because suddenly you're in this stark environment, you think, oh, I don't feel safe anymore. So that's when adrenaline releases and it shuts everything down. So environment is key. I give my clients, if they're doing an in-person course, they all get a positivity pack. So they get a manual that goes along with the course, but inside it I always put like a nice aromatherapy roller ball. They get a wee eye mask that they can wear in the car, because when you leave your house to go to the hospital, suddenly you're aware of traffic jams, roadworks, people walking in front of your car when you're trying to get in. Then you've got to deal with the car park at a hospital, which is chaos. That is not the woman's job to be worrying about that. She can be eye mask on, earphones in, zoned out. Birthing partner can deal with all that stuff, and it allows her to stay in that deep state of relaxation so that her body can do what it's designed to do.
That is amazing. Oh my gosh.
So simple. These wee things just make such a difference. Yeah, makes you feel safe.
Oh my goodness. Honestly, that's blown my mind, the whole even getting to the hospital. I'm like, we need to stop by your mum's, pick this up and that and all this. Like,
drop the dog off, do it. Like, honestly, the things that people think about on their way to the hospital, I'm like, zone out, honestly, zone out from it, and then your labour will progress. It's about keeping that deep state of relaxation as much as possible. Certain things will happen in labour that knock it out a wee bit, but we need to have tools to bring it back, because if your body goes into that fight or flight, it's just going to slow everything down. So I've had clients that will say to me, like, oh, I got to 7 centimetres, everything really slowed down. But that's when their birthing partners will say, well, let's put on a different relaxation track that you can zone out to. Maybe add in some massage, let's add in some aromatherapy oils. Like, different aromatherapy oils can really make you feel relaxed and safe, make you feel grounded again. So suddenly, before you know it, everything's progressing. Even simple things like nipple stimulation boosts oxytocin. So if labour slows down in labour, in a labour ward, the first thing they want to do is speed things up with a hormone drip. But actually, as long as baby and mum are okay, I'm like, well, why don't we try some clary sage oil? Or why don't we try nipple stimulation or kissing, or having a wee slow dance with your partner and put your wedding song on, and before you know it, things start to build up again.
That is such a nicer experience, so and it's nicer. More personal.
Yeah, much nicer.
Oh, that is so nice.
Yeah.
I'm not doing it again.
Are you sure? You might be convinced by the end of this chat.
I was actually thinking about it for a minute.
Listen, sometimes I think about doing that again, and then I'm like, that wasn't my thing.
Just hearing you talk about it, I'm like, I actually would like that experience.
Yeah. When I had my daughter, like that, as I say, it was a pool birth with no pain relief, and it was a very quick, like straightforward birth. Me and my husband hadn't had the chat that we were stopping at 2 until after, and I was like, wait a minute, I don't get to do that again. I was like, you didn't tell me I'm not getting to do that again, and he's like, I mean, if you want to, I suppose we could. He's like, I think we'll get one each. I think that's good. And now trainers are so expensive. I'm like, yeah, we're stopping it. They cost a fortune.
God. Even with the little feet, they're so expensive nowadays. Never mind grown-up size feet.
Yeah, but I think it's that high. Like I would chase that feeling again and again, and that's what everybody should feel like. The only thing I've found close to that feeling is I did a skydive for charity, and that gave me the same feeling. And I was like, if I'm not doing another skydive, I was like, I've done that once. I've done it.
You're going to need to find a third thing.
I know. I'm like, what can it be? But again, I get that when I go to births, when people ask me to be at their births, that is like the biggest privilege ever, to be in a room with someone and support them.
Yeah.
But when the baby comes out, I'm like, and then I can't sleep all night because I'm like, oh my goodness, I was just at a birth. Yeah, it's the most beautiful thing to witness. You see a family becoming a family, and just how that all unfolds. It's gorgeous.
It's such a special thing to be a part of.
It's really nice.
So you're also a doula then, is that what that would come under? If so, you would be, somebody could reach out and use you as a hypnobirthing teacher for your course and things like that, through the different methods that you do that, but they could also reach out and use you as a doula, and that's when you would be there with them through the birth in the room.
So that kind of came out of nowhere really. So I had a friend and she's had 6 children, and she didn't have the best experience first time round. Just some things just felt out of control. So second time round, she said, I think I want to have a home birth, but the condition is that I want you to be there. And I was like, wait a minute, I don't remember signing up for that. So I was at her birth, and honestly, it was amazing. And it's her fault. I blame her all the time. I said, it's her fault I became a doula. She actually gave me money towards the doula training course.
Oh, wow.
I don't think a lot of my midwife friends get why I trained as a doula. I think they see it as like a step back. I don't at all. The word midwife means with women, like we should be able to be with women, supporting them, but the job is not like that. In reality, like you're doing paperwork, you're checking baby's heart rate, you're doing your documentation, you're doing checks, you're giving injections, you're giving drugs. Like there's so much more than just actually getting to support and be there. And that was my favourite part of being a midwife, is actually just getting to support someone on that journey. That's what a doula is. But the best part I love about it is I could be there for 2 hours. I could also be there for 3 days. You get that constant support. Midwife shifts change. I don't go anywhere. I am there the whole time. I was at a birth at Paisley and I was there for 3 days, and I think my husband thought I'd ran away with another man. But birth's different. Like every birth is so different in how it unfolds. I've been at births and I phone him and I say, that's me done. He's like, already? And I'm like, yep. Like some births are really rapid and some births take a lot more patience and a lot more time to unfold. But someone hiring me can have me there the whole time to support them. And I'm not just here for the women, I'm there for the birthing partner. And a big part I'm making sure is that they understand what's going on. So I will never speak for my client, but I'll say to them, question that a wee bit more, ask what they mean by that, so that they're getting the information and they can decide if it's the right thing. But it's the loveliest job. It is, it's so nice.
And see, like what you were saying there, you'd be like, oh, question that a wee bit more. I think like if you're doing that for someone in that situation and giving them that confidence to maybe question a wee bit more, if they can do that in that stressful situation, which we don't want it to be stressful, but if they can do that in that sort of environment, I reckon afterwards their confidence prior to being pregnant is going to be through the roof. Like, so that's a skill for life. Like,
so many of the tools, that's what people say to me, oh my goodness, I was using my breathing techniques to go and get my sear test. I was using my breathing techniques to go on an airplane. But the questioning things is so important. Like, I have seen clients that will go to the doctors and they'll just take what the doctor's saying and they'll go, all right, okay. Now they'll say, can I question that a wee bit more? What do you mean by that? What's the evidence about that? Do you think that's better than that? Like they'll push a wee bit more. But that's not being a pain in the backside. Like that's taking ownership for your health and your well-being and your baby's health. And I think just so many people just assume like we must just do as we're told, and we don't need to. I actually taught a doctor and she made me laugh because she said, Lyndsey, you're so right. We just go in and we nod along and we do as we're told. She says, I went into a room and said, Mrs. Smith, we need to take your gallbladder out. She's like, okay, doctor, no question. She's like, I didn't even realise that I'm doing that to people. And I was like, yeah, we just go along with what we're told all the time, and you don't need to. You can, it might be the right thing, but actually unless there's another option or more discussion about it, you don't know. So there's always other things to be kind of discussed and provoke them to talk a wee bit more about things a wee bit more.
I think people are quick to forget that they are in charge of themselves. And that they're, like, if you're going to a doctor or something like that, that you are going there for the medical advice and stuff, but you do get a say in it.
100%. I think when a woman gets a set of pregnancy notes, there's a CAI number at the top, your NHS number, and I think a lot of people are made to feel like that's what they are, they're a number, they're just a number in the system going through this process. But this is your life event. Like, you matter in this. Like, your baby matters, your partner matters, and it's not just about like get this done as quickly as possible. Like, you'll remember all of the details for the rest of your life. Like, it's so important. It's a good experience, but what that experience is can be so different for every single person. There's no right or wrong way to do this. It's what's the right way for you. That's the most important thing.
And I'd seen online when I was like researching the hypnobirthing and that it can actually, doing the hypnobirthing and also having a doula, but not particularly both together, but one or the other as well, it can dramatically reduce your risk of going on to develop postnatal depression.
Having a doula is actually known as a form of pain relief, which is wild. But it's that continuous support. Like when you feel supported, you feel safe.
Yeah.
When we talk about pain as part of my course, like I think people, some hypnobirthing courses, they think pain's like a bad word. Like when you're in labour, you feel pain, but what that pain feels like is so different for every single person. Some people describe it as tightening, some people say it'll be cramp, some people, oh, it was all in my back. Like it's intense and it's powerful for sure. But see, if you've not got emotional support, it'll feel so much harder. And like COVID, that's what I always think about. Like women during COVID, sometimes the birthing partners were sitting out in car parks. I'm like, how on earth were you meant to do that without the person you love by your side? Like when you're doing it together, it makes it so much easier. So it's definitely not on the women to do this. Like their birthing partner is a vital part of this process, because they should be supporting you and getting you through every single contraction that you have, one by one. That's their job.
Yeah, and I think they also feel probably a bit like helpless or out of their depth, and this would help to take them out of that mindset and shift them into being like, no, I'm a big part of this as well, and here's where I can step up to the plate and help my partner through this.
I also see it, like, see postnatally, I see it in the dads, like their confidence is so much better, and even just how they handle their baby and how they support. I remember doing a class years ago, and the guy was like, I've never even held a baby before, like I'm really nervous. And at the time I taught baby massage, I don't teach that anymore, but I went back to do a baby massage class, and he answered the door and the baby's like hanging over his shoulder, and I was just like, I was like, you're doing absolutely fine. So I think a big part of it is just trusting yourself. And I think when you get a baby, you don't get a manual for sure, but you figure it out. They let me take 2 home from the hospital. I'm like, everybody else will be fine, but it's not something that you can learn on the day. Like you have to go through a process, you need to practice the tools, you have to like enjoy the relaxation. And actually, see, when you're pregnant, it's so nice to have distraction techniques to go to bed and zone out, so that then by the time you go into labour, you're so conditioned to it. Like you'll hear a relaxation track and you're like, oh, you just get into it really quickly. But that doesn't happen by listening to one track once. It takes time, and that's where the confidence comes from, is repetition and having your partner like chat to you about the different situations, going through your birth plan together, so that your birth partner knows what your preferences are, so that they can support you in it.
And I'd seen like it when I looked at that online about the doula and the postnatal depression like being decreased and stuff like that, and I actually seen something lovely, and it was like the doula almost mothers the mother after birth, and I thought, because that you can also get a postnatal doula, which is like a separate thing. They're not in the birth, but they'll come in afterwards, and they would maybe stay for a few weeks, like in and out, and spend a lot of time at home too.
I have a lot of friends that are postnatal doulas, so I only do birth, but I have people that signpost too, and honestly, some of the things that they do for these women, it's beautiful. They bring them like hot food, they bring them like do reflexology in their house, give them like postnatal massages, like just nourish them and look after them. But I think we're not great at this in our culture. Like women, like Chinese women, Indian cultures, they have things in place for that postnatal period. Like Chinese women don't leave the house for the first 40 days. It's called confinement, where they don't leave the house. They've got all these like healing rituals that they do. They eat only hot foods to help their body heal. 3 days after my C-section, I was in Sainsbury's doing a food shop, and I'm like, wait a minute, this is not right. We almost have this pressure to bounce back. So taking that time to look after yourself afterwards is so important. You've gone through a lot. Like it takes 9 months or 10 months, because I went overdue twice, but it takes 10 months to grow a baby. It takes at least that to recover from birth. Some people are like back to it and out for their walks with their prams, and I'm like, take your time. Like you need that time, because not only is it just a physical change, it's a hormonal change, it's an emotional change. Like you're becoming a different person when you become a mum. I don't know if you've seen the thing about the flamingos. Have you seen that online?
No.
So when female flamingos have their babies, they actually lose their pink, and then it takes time for their pink colour to come back. And that's what I see in women all the time. They almost like lose their identity and they forget who they are. If they're not looking after themselves and doing things that they still like to do, like going and getting their nails done, or nipping out to go for a walk, listen to a podcast or whatever it is, like they lose themselves. So those things are really important that you keep up, because then you can be a better parent when you're still looking after yourself first. So important.
That is so important. Like from personal experience, again, it took me years to be able to do that. And it, I think like also some people are so fortunate that they might have like really good family members that can step in and essentially be like a doula when they don't maybe know what that is, but they're kind of covering that role. But then the mother, some people actually find it really hard to accept help.
Yeah.
What would your message be to that kind of person? Because
to take it, like delegate tasks. Like there'll be certain things that you can ask people to do. Like postnatally, after I had my daughter, like I have to say, like my mother-in-law and my mum were great. Like they would bring round a meal, or they would say, I've done those wee bit of dishes for you. Like your job is to look after your baby. You need people that are going to look after you. See people that are bringing a baby grow, as lovely as that is, like, no, see if you bring them a Just Eat voucher, they will appreciate that so much better.
Yeah.
Give them a voucher to get a cleaner to come in and give them a hand. Like
that's such a good
the
idea.
best thing ever. Or a postnatal massage, things for that parent. Like they'll have bought clothes for months and months in the lead up to their baby's birth. They don't need another baby grow. What they need is to be looked after and nourished and made to feel like the person they were before.
Yeah.
It's so important.
I love that. Anybody that I know that's having a baby is getting a cleaner voucher.
Yeah. It's the best, honestly. Like we did like HelloFresh and Gusto and things, like meal prep things can help as well. So having things like that just make your life easier. But see if you say to someone like, can you come and walk my dog for me? Like let me get a shower. Like that's not failure to ask for help. And I think we see it like that here. Like, oh, if you ask for help, it's because you're not coping. Like, no, that's a sign of strength, is to delegate those tasks.
Yeah.
I'm not the best at doing it myself, but you need to. Like, you're not meant to manage everything. I do laugh, like my washing basket with 2 kids, especially pre-teens, like they wear something for 5 seconds and it goes in the washing basket and it's always overflowing. And my mother-in-law had messaged me to say my son had left a jumper at her house, and she's like, I'll just wash it. I said, don't worry, I'll wash it. And she went, well, actually I don't have enough washing to put a whole washing on. And I said, what's that like? I said, that sounds nice. And I was like, do you want me to donate some washing to you? And I was like, actually she would love if I just said, could you take a big pile of my washing? Because she loves doing things like that. But I think postnatally we're like, oh, better not ask, because they're here to see the baby. They want to support you. So see if you say, like, you can hold the baby once you've made a cup of tea, or you can hold the baby if you like watch the baby while I go and get a shower, because I've not had a shower for 3 days. Like you forget to look after yourself, you do, and that's where you need to ask for help. It's so important.
I think from a personal point of view, like I would find it really hard to accept help.
Yeah.
I'm quite like that, which I never realised until I had my first son.
Yeah.
And then in reflection, I'm like, gosh, why am I so rigid like that when it comes to accepting a bit of help? And it's like, oh no, don't do that. Like, just leave it and I'll do it, like kind of thing. And I'm like, that was actually really kind. I should have maybe just accepted. No, I should definitely have accepted that help, and that would have taken a strain off.
I think that's where like the vouchers come in a wee bit, because it's like a more of a gentle approach. It's like, there's a meal and there's a voucher for a cleaner, without you feeling like somebody's coming in and kind of taking over your space a wee bit. So that's definitely a good way to get around it.
That is such a great idea.
I know, it's the best.
That's
what you appreciate.
You would be on call if you were used as a doula, like round about the birth time.
So if someone hires me as a doula, I go on call from 38 weeks to 42 weeks for them. So I'm on call that whole period. Sometimes babies come before that and I try and make that work, and sometimes they come after that if they want to hang on beyond 42 weeks. That's quite rare. So at that point, like, I'm available any point, any time. So my phone is on loudspeaker next to my head while I'm attempting to sleep. It's kind of ongoing support they get throughout that time as well. Some people, I don't hear from them until they go into labour. Some people just need a wee bit more, like as they're going to appointments and things like that. And as I say, as soon as labour happens, or as soon as they feel they need me, I go. Some people, it's like really late in their labour and I turn up and I'm like, oh, here comes a baby. And other times I'm like, so they felt like one sensation and they just want to have a bit of support. Like, I'm there for that whole thing, which is really nice.
That is such a really thing to be a part of, somebody's experience like that,
really
isn't
nice,
it? And what would be something like an expectant mother could do, like in real time, that would just kind of flip them from that flight or fright into just a more calm state?
First thing I would say is read positive birth stories. Ideally, changing your algorithm of what you're seeing on TikTok and Instagram. When you're pregnant, the algorithm is smart. It shows you negative stuff, and before you know it, you're spiralling and you're reading all these things. Ideally, you want to stop that noise taking over, because what's really damaging is to take everybody else's experiences into your labour with you, because what I can guarantee is it's not going to be the same as anybody else's. This is your birth, your baby, your body. It's not going to work out the same. So the best thing to do is just stay away from negative things. I actually wrote a book a couple of years ago, which you can buy on Amazon, because I was so fed up of people saying, all you hear is negative birth stories. I'm like, no, you don't. There's so many positive ones. So I brought that along today. So it's called Birth Actually, How Hypnobirthing Helps Make Any Type of Birth Better. And it is full to the brim of like positive inductions, positive C-sections, water births, home births, very varied birth outcomes. But I think the more you read these nice stories, you're just like, oh, it actually doesn't matter how it goes. It's your perception of that experience that makes the difference, and having tools to keep you calm and relaxed makes such a difference. So best thing I would say is book a hypnobirthing course, but I'm a wee bit biased. And even better, like book a doula on top of that as well, because I think a lot of people think a doula is in place of a birthing partner. It's not, it's as well as. And when you're having a baby or growing a baby, like as much support as you can get is the better. Like there's no such thing as too much support going through an amazing journey like that. You need support. Yeah. So having as much support, as big a support network as possible is really important as well.
Yeah. And where can you get your book from?
So Amazon. So it's just, you just search Birth Actually and it'll come up on Amazon. It's $8.99. It's not even expensive. And to read that, the amount of comments I've had from people that message me, oh my goodness, even just after like reading a couple of the stories, I feel so much better. It's just normalising that what it can be like, but also appreciating that every experience is different. Yeah. I think that's a big thing. I think a lot of people see birth as like this textbook. You go in, this will happen, then this will happen, then this will happen. Like, it's not like that. Some people could go in to be induced and the hospital's really busy and you could be sitting up there for 3 days and nobody's come near you because they're short-staffed and it's busy. Sometimes you go in and you think, oh, I doubt I'll be in labour at all. And then they're like, oh, you're fully dilated, let's have a baby. So it can be so, so different for every single person. I think just normalising that is really important, but try not to focus on the negative because it just wears you down. There's a lot going on in pregnancy. You've got heartburn, leg cramps in the middle of the night, you can't bend, dealing with this heat. Like there's a lot, but the one thing we can really focus on is your mindset, and getting into it with a positive approach is really important. The other thing that I really make sure people are aware of is that you can choose where you give birth as well. A lot of people think that you have to birth in your local hospital. You can choose to give birth wherever. So whether that's a home birth, a midwife-led unit, which is like a lower risk unit, or a labour ward, you can decide. And actually where you choose to give birth can actually impact how your labour goes. Right. A lot of people assume that you have to give birth in a labour ward because that's where there's doctors. But doctors are only there for C-sections and instrumental births. It's midwives that catch babies, or you can catch your own baby. We don't need to even help you with that. We're just there to tidy up and do the paperwork. But so many people assume it's safer to birth there. And there was a study done in 2011 called the Birthplace Study, and it actually showed the safest place for a low-risk, healthy pregnant woman to give birth is actually in a midwife-led unit, in a home birth setting. Right. Because actually being in a labour ward, unless you've got a high-risk pregnancy, there's more likely that they'll be doing more checks, and that can actually lead to intervention.
Oh, really?
So where you give birth massively impacts. So many people go, oh, I know how to get there. Like, do your research, see what that hospital can offer you. You wouldn't just turn up at the first hotel you Google. Like, you would do your research. It's got the good all-inclusive package. Has it got a good pool? So it should be the same with your hospital. Like, what can it offer you? Because this is not a dress rehearsal. This is the one time you do this with this baby if you're pregnant. So I don't want people looking back and going, oh, I wish I had gone there, or I wish I had packed the wee fairy lights because that would have made my room so much nicer. Just do it.
I was in Paisley as well, and I actually remember being in that room, and there was a poster thing in the wall, and it was for this lovely wee kind of zen looking room with the lights dim and all that. And I remember thinking, like, I want to be in there.
Yeah, looks so much
like
nicer.
That looks so good. I didn't even know that was an option.
Yeah.
So you could just turn around and ask for that.
Yeah, as long as you're a green pathway, as long as you're low risk, you can go to the midwife-led unit. Yeah.
And that is the midwife-led unit, that lovely wee room.
Yeah. But actually, it doesn't matter where you give birth because you can put fairy lights up in a labour ward. Yeah. Like, I have to say, Paisley are really good. I was in there for a birth a while ago, and I walked into the bathroom and I noticed they had lovely affirmations up in the wall. So it's like every wave brings you closer to your baby, stay calm, breathe, relax. There was just like different things up in the wall, and I thought, oh, if I walked into the wrong room, am I in the midwife-led unit? And it wasn't. It's in the labour ward. And actually, the midwife came in and she said, oh, I understand that you're doing hypnobirthing. And my client said, yeah. Before I knew it, like, I'd already put the lights off, but she put the lights down even further. We put wee candles, like wee fairy lights, and wee like LED candles around the room. And the environment was just so nice. Like, it can be like that wherever you birth. It's just knowing that you can do that is so empowering.
That's brilliant.
Yeah.
That is brilliant.
You're going to want to do it again.
I feel like that. Just to have that nice experience. I do feel like that.
Yeah.
And what would be like a piece of advice you would give to the partner?
I would say listen to those the feelings, the nervousness, and show that you're there to support and just make them feel that they're not alone in this journey. I think for a lot of guys, like, well, what am I going to do? I'm a guy, I don't know. Like, you can be the best support, but unless you have tools to do that, it can feel really scary. So prep is what I would say. Read the books, listen to the podcasts. There's a brilliant book called Men, Love and Birth that I recommend that every guy reads, and it's actually written by a male midwife who wrote, like, after his experiences of being a midwife, but he's also a dad and a granddad. So it's like a really different viewpoint because he's lived it, but he's also been on the other side of it, delivering babies. And it's such a good place to start because it really tells you like what you need to do as a birthing partner. There's so many amazing podcasts out there, but I think just the support part is the biggest part, and just reassure her that she doesn't have to do this on her own, and it's teamwork. And bring the snacks. That's the biggest thing. And snacks for yourself. Like, as a birthing partner, I think you forget to eat, and you can't be the best support on the day if you're starting to feel a bit woozy and faint in that hot environment. So lots of food and drinks for your birthing partner too.
Right, keep them going.
Yep, need that energy for all that massage.
Oh, that's it, yeah. You need to learn how to do a good massage.
I teach that. Yeah, I teach that. And there's even a massage demo video. So if they forget how to do it or they get a bit lazy doing it halfway through the course, it's a wee reminder for them.
Put that video back on.
That's it.
Do your homework. Love that. What do you think is, like, what's one of the kind of most common anxieties for an expectant mother?
I think for a lot of women, they hear so many horror stories, and I think one of the biggest, well, two of the biggest ones is probably induction, because it's rare you hear positive stories about induction, and the other one is tearing in childbirth. So I cover all of those things. Like, as much as I prepare for plan A, I prepare for plan B all the way down to Z, because we don't know how it's going to go. Again, it's just understanding the processes of things. Like, I've heard people go to antenatal classes and be told, oh, if it's your first baby, you'll tear. Now, there is a high chance that you could have a tear, but it's not guaranteed. But what they don't then cover is what you can do to reduce that risk. And the fact that tearing's usually caused because people are force pushing before their baby's ready, or they're not in good position. So we cover all of that. Session 3 of my class, I teach people how to do perineal massage, which can reduce tears. I show them headstands off the couch and things that can balance their pelvis to help make birthing positions more comfortable, get their babies into better positions. So we cover loads of things like that. And I think, again, it's just knowledge that takes that fear away. But it's rare people go, oh, I had the most amazing birth. They'll go, oh, wait till I tell you how I tore from here to here. But they don't explain, like, actually the vagina is the fastest healing part of the body. It heals really quickly. Yes, stitches are nippy and uncomfortable, but after a couple of days you feel a bit more like yourself again. There's so many amazing products in the market that can help with healing, but they don't cover any of that. They just say, oh, you'll tear. And I'm like, why are we scaremongering people? So the advice is definitely to get as much information as you can about these things, just to take that anxiety away.
Yeah, and that empowers you.
Yep, absolutely.
So that if you do tear, you know that that's probably that second when it happens, and you restitch after is probably the worst part of that, but the rest of it's actually all right.
And I think so many people are so busy looking at their baby, they're so over it by that point, they're like, well, have I? Like, in their head they build up to be this really scary thing, and it's not. It's really not. The fact of having a really severe tear is so rare, but that's what people talk about all the time.
So, Lynsey, if anybody is looking for you, which I think you're going to have a big queue at your door.
That sounds good.
If anybody's looking for you, where is the best place for them to come and find you?
So my Instagram or my website, I would say. So my website is bornthiswayhypnobirthing.com, and my Instagram is at bornthiswayhypnobirthing. So easy to find me on there. At the moment, I'm currently booked up till October for group classes and October for private classes. So if you are keen to book, I do recommend booking as soon as possible. So as soon as you've had your 12-week scan, please reach out and I will do my best to accommodate you. I offer classes every possible time you could imagine. So I teach in the mornings, weekdays, evenings, weekdays, weekends, mornings. So I cover all kind of availability. So it covers like people that work shifts and things. When people book a session, it doesn't need to be like 4 days the same. They can have like a morning and then a night the next week. Like, I just send all my availability. They pick and choose what works best for their schedule. And it's 4 sessions that they would book at a time.
And if anybody needed you sooner than October, you've got your pre-recorded course online, so they would have access to that anytime.
Yep. So as soon as they buy it off the website, then they get instant access to it. So it's 24 videos. It also has 5 bonus expert videos on there. So I've teamed up with some local experts. So there's like a breastfeeding expert, a physiotherapist that talks about pelvic floor. There's a newborn sleep expert. There's a postnatal doula that even shows you how to tie the sling that you get in your baby box. And there's a first aid video on there. Plus there's all the relaxation tracks, a birth plan template, loads of things. So they get a lot for their money.
It's absolutely jam-packed, isn't it?
They get a lot of information, and that's especially useful for people that are like maybe getting to like 36, 37 weeks and suddenly they realise, oh my goodness, I need to give birth soon. That's what I designed it for, because I had so many people I was struggling to fit in. I thought there's got to be another way that I can reach people, so that's why I designed the online course.
And I'll put all your links and everything down in the description so that everybody can access them, and I'll put the link on for your book too.
Amazing, thank you so much.
Thanks so much for this. This has been
It's been a
amazing.
pleasure.
I almost feel like I want to give birth again.
I love that.
So don't hold me to that.
Yeah, I'll get a message from you soon, hopefully.
Well, if it does come to that, you definitely will.
That's
I'll
good.
need to
That
make
sounds
sure I
good.
get in there early so I can actually get you.
That sounds good.
Thank you.
No worries. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
That was fun.